Welcome to this week's episode of Real Talk. Today we're hearing from Paula, who's calling in from Madrid. From the class of 2017, she spent her year in Texas and is going to talk about what it means to find home sweet home in the United States. We'll be right back. Welcome to this week's episode of Real Talk. We are so excited to have our favorite Southerner with us. She's actually originally from Spain, but Paula, you were the class of 2017 and lived out your exchange story in Texas. Welcome.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
We are super excited to sort of hear more about your journey and your family. I know you're still so close to them, but if we go back to the very beginning, why exchange? Why was it that you wanted to leave Spain in the first place?
Okay, so I've always had that feeling. I don't know. I think I'm maybe special, like in that sense. But I always had that thought, but I kind of knew that it was a difficult thing, like for various reasons. Like I was very young and like economic reasons, because it's not something that everyone can do. But I happened to be lucky enough to like be able to experience that because some like family things going on. My aunt actually decided to pay for the trip, and she said that she thought that I deserved that opportunity. So I always had that very in my mind, like that it was a gift and I needed to like seize it in some way. And it never like actually freaked me out. Like when my dad told me like, hey Paula, so your aunt is actually like thinking to do this with you. What do you think? And I was like, yes, like right now, can I go? Like just right now? And he was like, okay, just like next year. But what do you think? And my aunt was like, are you really, like she was sure about it, but she was like, are you really sure about this? And I was like, yes, like let's do it. Like I was never really scared. I knew that it was gonna be difficult, but I was very excited.
And you were super young, weren't you? You were quite young to leave.
Yeah, I was 15.
So you found out about this probably when you were 14 years old.
Like right before my birthday. So I was like 13 turning 14.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
And then you find out, okay, this is happening a full year later, and you find out that you're going to Texas. Had you heard about Texas? Yeah. What in the world were you thinking?
Cowboys. That was like my image, but I wasn't like, oh, this like Texas. Like I wanted to be New York, for example. Like I remember getting a text from my dad, and he was like, oh, you're going to Texas. And I was in school, and I was like, oh, I'm going to Texas. But I was not really prejudging. That makes sense. And then I talked to my family, and they were like, we're not farmers. We live in like in a city. We don't ride horses. Like, and I was like, oh, okay, that's just a stereotype that I have. And I was like, I'm from Spain, but I don't like bullfighting. You know, like things are different. I didn't have like a picture in my mind that where I wanted to go exactly.
Yeah.
So I didn't care.
It's so interesting because the more we talk to people on Real Talk, we find that like if you have no expectations, you tend to have a better time. So it's not a setting proper expectations. It's just like not creating any of them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's a very important thing. Like you just go like, and I think the most important thing is your family.
It's better to have the people instead of the place.
Yeah. Sometimes things like you imagine things, but things that you can't imagine are better.
But obviously your family was such a big part of what made Texas home. What was it like meeting them for the first time when you arrived at the airport and they were there?
And that was amazing. Like I actually got it on camera because my host mom I went to camp, and my host mom and my host sister were working there. So I met them in New York. And it was amazing because I was super tired, like getting off of the plane, and then I saw like these two women like running super fast towards me, and they were like ah, and people were like screaming, and I found out later they were recording it, and they were like hugging me, and I was so excited, like oh you're here. So that was really cool. And then when I went back from camp, I took the plane with my host mom, and my host dad and my host brother were waiting for us there, and it was really cool too. And we got to know each other, like we got in contact way before I went there, like in March. So I kind of felt already, like not a 100%, but I really felt part of the family already. Like it was, they weren't strangers.
That's nice. That's really nice. But I'm sure there were also some of those moments in the beginning when you sort of felt like, is this my home? Should I do this? What was the process of transitioning into feeling like they were your family?
I remember the first days, I woke up and I was like, well, I'm gonna have breakfast. And I remember I was gonna open the fridge, and I was like, can I open the fridge? Or can I take the milk? And they were like, this is your home, dude. Just do it. And I was like, okay. But it kind of felt strange too, because I think in the beginning you feel more like a host, and if you're in someone else's house, you don't just take things, Yeah. But I think it was really cool seeing them, because we really had a connection, because we liked each other, but seeing it building up, every month, seeing oh, we're getting closer, or just listening to them talking. I loved being in the car and listening to my host mom talking about stuff, or talking to her, but just hearing what she had to say, and seeing in the end of the year, you saw the relationship growing.
Yeah, and it obviously helped your English a lot. Just listening and listening and listening and being a part of the family. What was it like in the beginning, though? Did you feel as comfortable in English, or did that just come over time?
I think I was kind of lucky, because I didn't have a lot of trouble with that, and some people did. But yeah, it's weird talking in language that is not yours all the time. Especially in camp was the first time, but I was like, oh, let's just do it. And I like talking in English. I don't know. I sound cool, I think. I sound cooler than Spanish. And I loved listening to them. Not just because what they had to say, because I love the accents, and it was just talk to me about whatever you want to talk about. I just want to listen. But I remember a class, for example, that I had really trouble. I had trouble with the teacher, just because I didn't understand a word that he was saying. He had a very strong accent, and I was like, I can't do this. And I was like, and can you send me the PowerPoints and stuff, because I can't do it. But over the time, and it happened to other exchange students, because I talked to them, you just, I don't know, something does a click in your brain, and you start getting what they're saying.
That is so good, and probably made school so much more enjoyable or fun, even. What was school like? Because I know there's quite a difference between the Spanish school system and a big public school in Texas.
Yeah, actually, we kind of talked about that today in my school, in my university, because we were talking about how American schools are more interactive, and how you do presentations and you speak in public, and we don't know how to do that, because they don't teach us that. And we did that, but it was very scary at the beginning, because it was very big, and my school in Spain is very small, and I live in Madrid. I live in a big city, but still my school is super small comparing, and I was so lost. But I remember they gave me a tour the day, I don't know, some day before the school actually started. But I didn't get it. It was super fast. So I was like, okay, I remember the first class, but the other 6, no clue. So I remember asking teachers do you know where this is? And they were like, okay, you need to go straight, then right, then left, then right, then you go downstairs, then left. And I was like, okay, but by the end of the year, you already got everything. But yes, it was very scary. And I remember my host mom saying she kind of put it really bad. So when I was over the first day of school, I was like, it wasn't that bad. It was like, it was okay. I survived that.
So she made it seem like really frightening, so in reality it wasn't that bad.
Yeah, and I was really scared about, I just remember, maybe it sounds strange, but about getting on to the bus. I was very scared that I was gonna miss my bus, or I was gonna get into another bus, and I don't know where I was going. And I remember checking the number of the bus like 100 times before I get on a bus. I was like, okay, that's my bus.
That's awesome. And so you got the big yellow school bus, and you were involved in a lot of other things at school as well, like sports and activities. What did you do besides school?
I was in the dance class and all that stuff, and we did kind of some shows. And then I was in the theater club and classes, and I was in the musical, and that was really, really fun. And it was a great experience to get to know people and do something different. Like in Spain, if you want to do a musical, you just need to, or paint classes for that, or you can't have the easy way of I'm doing it in my school. You need to go somewhere else and find time for that. So that was really cool.
And did you get to be in any of the performances or any of the shows?
Yeah, we did gospel. I don't know, I heard about it because my dad talked about it. I don't know, my dad knew it. But yeah, it was really cool. Yeah. And going to rehearsals and getting to perform, that was really cool.
And in English, which I think is such a big feat, to do any sort of theatrical performance in your own language, let alone your second.
Yeah, that was scary too, because singing in English, I don't mind, because I think I'm used to it, because a lot of the music I listen to is in English. But acting in English, that was when I had that line or something, it was
it's still so great though. I mean, a lot of people can't even act in their own language, let alone a second, so it's super cool. Mm-hmm. And if you look back at 13-year-old you, 14-year-old you that was okay, I'm gonna do this thing, or maybe this is an idea of something I want to do, what do you think you've changed the most, or what has changed the most in you since before your exchange to now?
I think, okay, to say that I'm older, it's very obvious, but I feel way older. I've learned so much and grown so much, and not just because another culture, it also it's about that, but I think I learned a lot about people and relationships with people, and there's some things, maybe silly stuff, that I think my parents here couldn't have teach me, but my host parents did. And for example, catching planes, here we don't do it that often. So my dad was and this is a very stupid example, but it was oh, I'm so glad that Christine was there, because she knew how to do it. I would look so dumb in an airport so big, because I didn't know, I wouldn't know what to do, and she knew, so now, but those things, that those examples, but more important things.
It's so good, because I think you just nailed it on the head. It's the little things. It's the little lessons that they teach us as well, not just sort of big grandiose things. But I really loved how you said that there are certain things our host parents give us that our real parents don't necessarily. That's so cool. Do you still talk to your host family?
Oh, of course. Today I texted with my host dad, and yesterday too. It was kind of a big day because my host sister got married yesterday.
Oh wow!
So yeah, and I couldn't be there because I have exams, but it's okay. And yeah, I still talk to them, and I can't wait to see them again.
That's amazing though, and I'm sure that once your exams are over, you'll be able to go over and celebrate the birthdays, the anniversaries, the weddings, all of that with them. Mm-hmm. But if you had to give one sort of piece of advice, one thing to somebody who's thinking about going on exchange, what would you say?
Just one?
Yeah, I know, right? You could write a book, but if there's someone who's unsure if they want to do exchange, or maybe just looking at it, what would you say?
Just do it. Nikes. I mean, it's just such a great experience. Just not just because the English and all of that is like done, you know, like you're gonna be there, so you're gonna learn something about English language. But there's something I think very humbling. Is that a word?
Yeah.
About leaving your own place, going somewhere else, and learning about that, and seeing how. Okay, right now maybe I'm talking too much, but right now I'm studying sociology, and there's like a term that it's called like cultural relativism. That it's like understand another culture by their own terms, not by your own cultural terms. And I think that's very important, and that's very humbling. And just seeing that not everything is the same. No, we are not all, like not everyone is the same, and not everyone has to see the world as you, but that's not bad, and you can learn from that. And being in another household, I think it's not just society, like in being in another household is very good because it's a good learning experience, because you have lived with your parents your whole life, but living with other people, you can learn a lot from them.
That's so great. I love that idea of seeing someone's culture through their own eyes, rather. Which is why I think you are our true Southerner and our Texas girl, because you fully jumped in and sort of made it your own. I love Just Do It, and I really think that there's so much to be gathered from that. And so if any of you are nervous or just have questions in general about Texas or exchange, make sure you leave it in the comments box below. I'm sure Paula would love to reach out and chat with you all. Exchange, just do it, you know? It really does.
Yeah.
We should put a Nike symbol up there. It really does amazing things. But make sure you join us next week. Paula, thank you so much. It's so great to talk to you again. And we will see you guys super soon with another special guest on Real Talk.